And welcome to this weekend's Behind the Mitten. John Gonzalez along with Amy Sherman, having a great time as we do every single weekend, traveling the state of Michigan, checking out new places, familiar places, and, trying to just let you guys know what's out there in this great state. We go everywhere from Lower Peninsula, Upper Peninsula, and Amy Sherman, we have been on one heck of a road trip the last couple of weeks.
We sure have, because we've been on the search for Michigan's best bakery for mlive.com, and so I think we've probably already gone about 1,500 miles at least on this trip, and
Yes,
have gone from north to south, east to west, visited close to 40 bakeries, I think, and have met amazing people all
Great
across
stories.
the state. Some of these people have been baking their entire lives, and they're 80 years old, and they're still getting up every day to make the donuts. They've been just incredible.
Yeah.
We're going to be releasing our big list sometime around March 1st, and it's going to be in print across the state on March 4th, so you can grab one of our papers from MLive and see what we've been doing for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we can't wait to share all these stories with you folks. Hey, you know what? We want to welcome all our listeners across the state of Michigan. We have some new markets. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate it. But Amy, today we are broadcasting from our very first visit to this brewery.
I know we get asked all the time, have you been to every brewery in the state of Michigan? And it's pretty close, but we haven't. And we've been talking about coming here for a super long time.
We have, yeah.
But it just always kind of seems to be a little bit out of our normal path. And so we are here in beautiful Alpena at Austin Brothers Brewery.
Yes.
And you may have seen their beer because it is distributed around the state, and I keep seeing their tap handles pop up. But happy to be here. It's a really cool space here in Alpena.
Great space. The food looks good coming out of the kitchen. You can see the brewery, the production room over there. We're on the restaurant side where the taps are at. It's a nice building.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to learn more about Austin Brothers Brewing a little bit later in the show, because, of course, we'll do Beer of the Week with these guys. And so we can hear their story and what they have going on here. But first, let's learn more about Alpena, because I got super turned on by Alpena last year when we got to talk to our next guest about some of the awesome things that they have going on here that I didn't know about at all. And this is my number one spot I want to go to this year in Michigan. I can safely say that I want to come to Alpena on a vacation.
I know, because when you talk to this person, we're going to bring her on in a second, you were like going, Gonzo, we've got to go.
Got to go.
Got to go. All right, so who do you have with you there?
We got Mary Beth Stutzman with us, who's the president of the Alpena Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
So what was it that got me so excited last year about
I don't know.
Alpena?
There were so many things we talked about. We talked about sinkholes and stargazing and trail riding and shipwrecks. And I think that at every moment, I was looking at you and your eyes were popping out of your head like, hey, are you kidding? That's in Alpena? Really? I had no idea.
I didn't. Because I haven't been really to Alpena since I was much younger. We would camp around here and come into town. You come into town, to get stuff. And but I haven't been here in a long time. And the stuff you were telling me that I could come and do here, it just sounded like a summer paradise.
It really is. We are a nature-based community, so pretty much everything we do, there is some component with the outdoors. And even if you don't like getting out in the outdoors, you're surrounded by it. So you can have a modern experience here in Alpena, but still be surrounded by lakes and trees and rivers, and it's really it's beautiful. Breathtaking, if you ask me, but...
Well, for those of our listeners who maybe have never been to Alpena, explain on your hand where you're located.
Everyone, get out your hand.
I actually have a tattoo where Alpena is. I know nobody can see it, but so we are on the index finger, about the first knuckle down. We are on the northern shore.
You really do have a tattoo.
I do.
I love that.
My grandma thinks it's a growth of some sort. We're on the northern shore of Lake Huron in Michigan's Lower Peninsula, northeast Lower Peninsula. And the northern shore of Lake Huron, on a clear day from the top of the New Presque Isle Lighthouse, you can see Canada.
Oh, wow.
So we're about 50, 60 miles from the Canadian shoreline. Not that anybody really goes that way to get there, but interesting trivia. So we're pretty much known kind of as the sanctuary of the Great Lakes, and that really just means a wonderful natural environment where you can relax. By the time you get here, obviously we're a little bit difficult to get to, but that is part of the beauty of this area. We aren't overrun with traffic. You can slow down when you're here, hear yourself think, hear yourself, take a breath, take a moment, really reconnect with people you care about. We have a lot of families, a lot of couples that come, a lot of people that come by themselves for things like, adventuring, or to just come and write by the lake shore.
See, that's why Alpena's called calling me. I'm going to transport myself up here for Rim Live.
So there's just so many things. It's hard to really say everything we have in a nutshell because there's just a lot. If you go by the numbers, we have over 100 miles of groomed trails, which I think you're going to be talking to someone later on about that. Mm-hmm. We have over 43,000 acres of state forest land. We have 7 lighthouses in the area, 3 dark sky preserve parks, over a dozen sinkholes that you can explore. We have a state park that you can collect 400 million-year-old fossils from. There's just really a wealth of interesting things, history, culture, arts, and just nature experiences, not to mention 200 shipwrecks in Lake Huron.
Boom. Drop the mic, Alpena.
I don't want to break it, otherwise I would.
I was going to mention the shipwrecks because that's probably one of the things that people, once they discover what you have here, they come up the first time and then they're coming back again and again.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking earlier today with some folks in our downtown that it's so surprising how many people come here and say, oh, my goodness, I had no idea. You're just this tiny little dot on the map, and I heard about it 20 years ago, but wow. So we're home to Thunder Bay National Marine Sanctuary. It's the nation's only freshwater marine sanctuary that protects about 200 historic shipwrecks in Thunder Bay. And we have so many shipwrecks because we have a big logging era industry at the turn of the last century. That's how we were founded, and we had a lot of ships coming in and out of the harbor. Fishing is another big thing that is done here year-round. You can also bike here year-round. Cross-country ski, snowshoe in the winter, hike, canoe, kayak. There's really no end for recreational activity, which I could talk about all day. But there's a lot of other things, too. I think another thing that people comment on is when they get here, they feel like it's really comfortable and really warm. And our tagline used to be a warm and friendly port, but then a lot of people say that, so it's not really saying a lot anymore. But
that water is a little cold.
But it has more to do with the people.
I know.
I guarantee if you were here on vacation and you came into Austin Brothers or you went to the downtown coffee shop and you went in one time, they would remember you the next time. Mm-hmm. So all of that goes to just really communicate. We really do have a small town charm feel, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. I know we're going to talk to Blake here in a few minutes in the show about Austin Brothers, but real quick, game changer for Alpena, having these guys open up?
It's been wonderful. Absolutely. Obviously, beer and wine tourism is the number 2 tourism driver in the state, mm-hmm. and has been for a while. So having this in Alpena and having them so integrated into the community has been really wonderful.
Great.
All right, let's talk more about the shipwrecks and how I'm going to kayak over the top of them.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, because the shipwreck thing is what blew my mind, because I did not realize you had all these shipwrecks. And then because of course I went online and checked it all out, the water is so crystal clear that you can either paddleboard or kayak right over the top. You don't have to scuba dive or snorkel.
Exactly.
You can just be in a little boat, cruise over the top, and check all these things out right there.
Yep. My husband and I like to paddleboard a lot, and he's really comfortable in the water. I'm not so much. So he'll take me on adventures all the time. So there's a couple shipwrecks that are in pretty shallow, in pretty shallow water. One was in 8 feet, and then another one was in about 20 feet. And we paddleboarded out to them, and we get the first one we get to, and it's just I can't do it. So I'm hanging off the paddleboard with my face with the goggles on, and so technically I might be snorkeling, but I could see it, and it was amazing. And then the next one we went to, it was in a place a little bit north of Alpena called Bell Bay, and we paddleboarded out again, tied up to the buoy, put our little diver flag up so that we'd be safe, and I got off the paddleboard and I'm looking at it, and it's amazing. It really is breathtaking seeing these things in person. But again, I'm just sitting there, and so my husband Casey comes over. He's like, "Do you want me to hold your hand?" Yes. So he held my hand as we snorkeled over top of the shipwreck, and then we went and got back
up. So romantic.
Yeah, well,
Alpena is for
if
lovers.
we live here, I have to do it. I have to get out, even if I'm not a diver. You can still see them. I run into people all the time when I'm out paddleboarding who are in their kayak, looking for them. They have their little guide where
mm-hmm.
all the locations are. If you don't have any of that, you can take a glass bottom boat ride out. Goes out a couple times a day during the season.
I love it. Well, Mary Beth, there's so many things you can do here in Alpena. If someone wants to plan a trip like me to come visit and experience everything Alpena has to offer, where do they go for more information?
Well, definitely visit alpena.com. That's a website, but you can also send us an email to askalocals@visitalpena.com, and we hook you up with a concierge that can help answer your questions. And it is a real live local person who can
a real live concierge right here in Alpena. All right, Mary Beth, thank you so much for sharing all that information. All right, coming up next, we're going to learn more about what's happening in the wonderful town of Alpena. So stay tuned to Behind the Mitten.
I'm Mary Beth Stutzman from the Alpena Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. Check out Alpena, where you can experience the Sanctuary of the Great Lakes. Hike, bike, kayak, look at shipwrecks. Find out more at visitalpena.com. And you're listening to Behind the Mitten.
And welcome back to Behind the Mitten. John Gonzalez along with Amy Sherman having a great time in Alpena, Michigan. Wow, we made it here, Amy.
Finally.
Finally made it to Alpena. It's a great town. We learned a lot in that last segment. Folks, if you missed that interview, you'll find it on the podcast a little later. Just go to behindthemitten.com for the full length of the show. But she knows her stuff,
Mary Beth certainly does. There are so many things you can do here in Alpena year-round. But if you're planning your summer trip, now would be a good time. So if you want more information, go to visitalpena.com, and they can help hook you up with lodging. And you can also get hooked up with your own personal local concierge. If you're not quite sure of what you want to do, but maybe you know you love to mountain bike, they can hook you up with somebody who does that here. And that way you make sure you have the total insider scoop on everything that's going on in Alpena.
Yeah, I remember when she told us that last year, and I thought, what a cool program to have the locals kind of lead you where you should be going in the area when you come to visit.
I like it. I kind of feel like we're Michigan's concierge.
We are.
With all the calls we get. But
we get a lot of calls and emails, so yes, we will help you plan your vacation anywhere in the state. And now,
we will. Feel free to contact us at any time.
Alpena. Hey, who do you have with you next?
All right, coming up next, we got Zach Irving with us, who has a myriad of titles, and we're going to start with... you have a podcast about local music. You also work with your brother and your dad on a cool video series that we're going to talk about. Mm-hmm. And it seems like you're just the hot man about town.
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker, and I studied cinematography down in Chicago. I was natively born here. My parents are from Harrisville and Presqu'île area. And so I grew up here going on adventures and making videos with my friends, and decided to push forward and go to Chicago, learn about cinematography, and then I tried to bring my knowledge back here and influence other people like me to work on these things. So the podcast that I do down in my basement, I invite local musicians down there, and we do a live recording in front of a live audience, and post it up on our website, and it's with all local musicians from Alpena and passing through Alpena. And I talk to them a little bit about their inspiration, how they learn their music and their genres, and what they can bring to the area as well. And then I have a video series too called The Basement Sessions, which I highlight and view these musicians from the area at different local places around Alpena and the area. So we have some shot at the Rotary Island, and some over at the Hungry Hippie and Lee's Mini Golf Course, and one in my basement as well. And so that was actually kind of brought off towards where I kind of wanted to learn more a bit about the sound side, so I could be better at that through my filmmaking. And then I created this video called The Michigan Micro Adventures, a pilot episode that I premiered at the Fresh Takes video contest in 2016, and we got a lot of praise about it, and it kind of just snowballed and grew into something where I reached out to Mary Beth Stutzman from the Alpena CVB, and we put our minds together and wrote a grant, and we got the Regional Prosperity Grant.
Cool.
And created 4 episodes, and we premiered the first one this last January during the NOAA International Film Fest. And we're getting a lot of praise about it, and we're getting really excited on putting more out there. There's about 15 people that have worked on these episodes, and they're all from our area.
That's great.
So
now tell us a little bit about what is the videos, what is the Michigan Micro Adventure series like?
Yes.
What do you take me on?
Michigan Micro Adventures takes you on a 10-minute episodic series that shows you different areas that are maybe more well known to the locals, that you can go hiking, backpacking, camping, biking, snorkeling. We do the first episode